deal with people that deal with these problems. I'm the best at doing this. I'm giving you my.
So
I don't know how
all
else
the
to prove it to you.
locations you just mentioned were in the northern hemisphere. Do you see my point?
So I work with Northern Hemisphere satellites. Yeah, sure.
Right.
Whenever
and so
you're done,
they're at a certain position, pointing a certain way. My question to you is: do you think that every single satellite in every single country points the same degrees?
No, they wouldn't.
Right. And why wouldn't they if the Earth was flat?
If the Earth was flat, you still have 360 degrees, just like as you would it on the sphere Earth.
The angles would not be the same.
They would be.
No, they wouldn't. They're two different. They're
Yes.
two different geometries.
Wow.
Yeah, there are. There's planar and spherical.
Right, which means the angles would be different.
Exactly. That's my point.
Right.
You're living on a flat Earth, man.
And
using
satellite
planar
dishes
geometry
don't.
to describe. Hold on. When do you think you use planar geometry? When do you think you use planar geometry? Tell me.
What do you mean? When do you use it? When you're dealing with a plane?
Okay, you said that I'm making it up. I'm saying this exists.
I
didn't
say that again.
When would
you're putting words in my mouth?
When would you use? You're smart. When would you use planar geometry?
Planar.
When you're dealing with planes.
Okay, so this idea exists, right? Just you don't have to fucking fight the flat Earth here. Just say we agree.
Did you hear that? Oh, it exists. You know what also exists? A flat piece of concrete before they build a building.
True.
He's going to
Absolutely.
be telling us about the
Right.
DPRK in a minute. You will.
We haven't even got.
I would still like my.
I'm trying to build flat Earth here. I didn't even get the hollow Earth.
I would still like my earlier question.
In the northern hemisphere, he knows all about it.
You were killing flat Earth here.
No, I'm top 5 flat Earth.
You're
Come on, man.
abysmal at this, I must say.
I talk with you. Most flat Earthers apparently don't.
Dude, most flat Earthers get wrecked and never come back. Take Quiet Noobs, for example.
What's up, Sheepy?
Hey, Quiet Noobs is here.
Did I get my earlier question answered though?
What was it?
Not by these clowns.
My earlier question was
nothing to hide.
why would we be okay? My earlier question was why would my company be faking sending these rockets into space when we intend on sending passengers into space regularly, 8 at a time, and it's not anybody that can pay for a ticket to ride on the thing?
Oh, that's
How does
easy.
that make any sense at
That's
all?
easy.
Oh, okay, it is.
That cannot be a real question. I'm a flat
TV
Earther,
screens
but I don't
in
even
the
have
windows.
to answer that.
Do you want me to answer? Do you want me to answer?
Let the baller answer.
It's to take us away from God.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay.
I'm not a Christian, by the way. I don't defend Christianity.
They won't actually go to space. They'll get MK Ultra brainwashed
That's the
and put in
reason.
a pit.
Yeah, but
my
we're
God.
sending. The thing is, we're going to be sent. The point I'm trying to make is we're going to be sending people into space that can. The point of what I'm trying to make is that we're going to be sending people into
Your
space
Earth is
that
flat and your
can
God is
debunk
dumb.
our bullshit.
Wow.
Wait. But you're running bad.
Yeah, you're
I'm
right.
here to
about
talk
that.
about flat Earth Satanism.
Sin, stop
There is
talking.
no God. The Earth is flat. There's no
Can you
God.
please
The
mute Sin?
intelligence is meaninglessness.
Again, my
There
question
is no
is,
God. I'm not arguing for
why
Christianity.
would we be? Okay, just shut up, please.
I
Why
don't
would
think
we
you
be?
are
Why
gonna.
would we be actively working toward the goal of sending anybody into space that can pay for a ticket if
People
when
do
they go on that
delusional things?
when they go on that rocket, they would immediately know that we were faking it? Why
No,
don't
they're
be
why
going
would
to
we be
brainwash
doing
them.
that?
No, you're
They're not
gonna
going to
die.
put them on a rocket. They're going to brainwash them and
They're
put them on
absolutely
ground
gonna
and give them
die.
drugs
Can I
and a
please address
projection.
Jem's rebuttal?
Yeah.
This is too much.
Oh, great.
So your best. No, that's not my question. Not my question. Not my question.
My answer
Not
to
my
the question is you're
Not
not
my
going to send anyone to space.
It's
a
really,
lie.
Kimo, it's really about the goal of sending humans, which would.
If they're
You
not
know,
going
that-
to do this shit,
But
But
come
the
on.
thing is, we
I know.
are. How would they fake people
Mars
walking into
Can I-
a rocket when I
hell.
can watch?
Can I explain
How-
how they're going to fake it? So what they're
Yeah,
going
They're
to
when
not
I can
going
wa-
to go
when
to
I
this
can watch-
location.
Let me
Could
tell you.
not
Watch how
exist
easy
there.
this is. Watch how easy it is.
Listen,
Watch how easy it
flat
is
Earth
to
will
fake
say
space.
you cannot go to these places. They will.
You
they
can
will
say
kill
that all you
will
want,
die.
but I'm the proof that you're full of shit.
Okay,
How-
think
Let's
about
talk
this.
about it.
Bro,
You will
bro.
die if you try to go there. I'm telling
How-
you. Trust.
Let me tell you how they'll fake it. You picture you put a person in a spacesuit, okay? Now you're going to be like, look, never take off your spacesuit. Now the spacesuit is going to have a visor. You're going to think this visor is a clear visor. Virtual reality heads-up display that's going to fake the entire experience. So they're going to, quote-unquote, fly you in some fake bullshit that's going to rock back and forth like that theme park ride.
Boom,
Then
dude.
you're gonna land.
Fake.
Not possible.
Then the screen. You're going to be
Would you like
looking
me
at
to
a screen.
explain to you why?
Satan, hail
They're
Satan.
doing
Lie,
interactive.
Satan.
Would you
Hail
like me to
Satan.
explain to you why
Right.
that's not
I love that.
possible?
Hail
Would
Satan.
you like me to explain to you why that's not possible?
Lies forever.
It is possible.
Would you like? No, because
Believe
no,
in
not
whatever
possible.
lie you want to believe.
Could you shut up
Hail
and let me?
Satan.
Okay. Reason number one why it's not possible: the passengers will not be wearing helmets during launch. Reason number two, it's not possible. I can watch with my own eyes the passengers boarding the rocket because
Oh,
none
okay.
of this shit's
Let
very
me address
very
this.
far
Get on
apart.
drugs,
Let me
go
finish.
on,
Let me
job
finish.
with
Let me finish.
Let him finish.
I
Let
can
him
watch
finish.
with my own eyes these
I
people
saw
boarding
it
the
on
rocket.
TV.
Let me finish. I can watch with my own eyes these people boarding the rocket. Reason number three:
Incredible.
once they're on the rocket, I can watch with my own eyes from a very close distance of the rocket taking off.
Don't say this. Come
You should
on.
tag
Don't
them
make
with
it worse.
You should
Dude,
tag
they're
them
gonna
with
be on drugs
GPS
at launch.
chips or
At the
something,
launch.
so you can.
Let me
What
Nobody
what-
believes in this shit. Come on.
It doesn't
So-
matter. I can see it with my own eyes.
You're,
It doesn't
think about
matter.
this.
no.
I can watch
will you
this
be
shit
able to-
I
happen
can
with
tell
my own
you all
eyes.
day why you're making.
It's a different rocket.
I'm not
Where you saw
making.
the
I'm not
people-
making anything
You're
up.
under a
You
delusion.
saw
I'm
the
not
people
making
on
anything
Do
the
up.
not
fake rocket.
figure these things out for yourself. They exist before
I-
you. You're just
I
coming
can
up with an
watch
idea that
I'm not
existed
coming up
before
with
you.
anything. I'm not
You're
coming up with
making it
anything.
up
This
as you
is my
go.
job. This is my job.
I'm
Hello?
sorry that it is.
Can you see that rocket all the way to Mars?
Ask a
I
question.
think you're delusional.
Am I
It's not
roboting?
delusion, man.
field.
I can watch it with my own eyes.
I
and
can
this
tell
is-
you you're
just
lying to
grasping
yourself.
at straws. You're just grasping at straws.
Do
trying
not lie to yourself.
pathetically-
Don't want that.
Trying to pathetically grab anything you can.
Okay,
to
so
hold on to the
Area.
flat
Do
Earth
not lie
fantasy.
to yourself.
Area,
Man. I'm telling
do you
you,
have,
I'm
I'm
telling
lying.
you.
I can watch it
Don't
with my
lie
own
to
eyes.
yourself.
I
Area.
can see it with
good.
my own eyes. I
Okay,
can see it with my
okay.
own eyes.
So Area
I
51.
I
can
want
watch
you
everything.
to have a
I
good
can
life,
watch it.
dude. Don't lie.
I can watch it with my own
Guys,
eyes.
have you
The
got
entire thing. The entire thing. I have
Calm
sat in the
down,
damn
calm
capsule
down.
myself.
Area, calm down a little bit. So
Bring it down.
have you ever sent a rocket all the way around the ball?
Like I said, we have sent it up to the Kármán line, which
No,
is plenty high enough
ever.
to see the sphere.
I mean, have you ever sent a rocket
Man.
around the ball, or do they only just go up and down? In the past, maybe.
Dude, you're killing yourself here, man.
I'm
I
not
know what
kill-
they
I'm
know.
not
I know what
killing
they're
anything.
telling me.
It's
They're
not
telling
about
me
any.
things you just don't.
It's not about what they're telling me, shithead. I can watch it with my own eyes.
That's what I'm asking. Have you seen
Sorry
a
about
rocket go
calling you a shithead.
all the way
I
around?
shouldn't have done that. I can watch it. I can watch everything I just described with my own eyes from a very close distance. Well under a mile.
Okay, but answer Kimo's question. Do you see the rocket go all the way around the Earth, or just
We
kind of
are
off
not-
into the distance?
We are not currently putting rockets in orbit, but we are sending stuff into the Kármán line, which is plenty high enough
Come on.
to see
Okay,
the
but
sphere of the Earth.
Kármán line again. How many times are you going to repeat
Wait,
this?
is the
He-
Kármán line plenty
No,
high
He
enough?
asked me the question,
got it.
so I answered it.
It's done.
What do you
It's
want
done.
from me?
I want you to quit saying the same goddamn thing.
Yeah, quit answering the same question.
Tell these people to stop asking me the same goddamn questions.
Okay,
Okay,
listen,
so that-
Area, listen up real good. Okay? You
I'm
had an option
listening.
there. You were asked, do you go in orbit? You say no.
But what do you mean when you say no?
No.
Right,
You can't
which is
say
the
no.
reason why I
He's got to
explained it.
say for the 185th goddamn time, we go to the Kármán line.
Oh wow.
Well,
I
then,
have a question.
like I
Tell an hour-long
well, like I
story
said,
about going
like I said,
to
don't
the
ask me.
motherfucking Kármán line.
Well,
guys. Twit wants to say.
Come on, look. Over and over again.
Area, Twit wants to say something.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
No problem.
I hope I'm not roboting right now, but
no, you sound great.
Okay, you said that this is just the test stage for your rockets.
We're currently in research and development. Okay. Yes.
All right. So when you get to your place that you're intending to be, how far out in space is this payload going to go?
62 miles above the surface of the Earth, if I remember correctly.
So which part of space is that considered?
Low Earth orbit, I think.
Low Earth. Okay. Thank you.
I think so. I don't know. He didn't confirm. Rocket guy, is that low Earth, the area, low Earth orbit area?
Right. But it doesn't need to be high Earth orbit to see the Earth as a sphere.
No, I mean, is that the only objective for this trip? Is to see the sphere?
No, the objective of this trip is to test out our equipment because again, we're still in research and development for various components on the rocket.
Right. Well, what I was saying is when you achieve what you ultimately want out of this rocket, which I assume is to take passengers into space.
Right.
Like, how far into space are you attempting to take these passengers?
As far as actually, it's beyond the Kármán line. As far as how high up, I actually don't know that.
Mm.
It is past the Kármán. It is past what we're currently doing, but I don't actually know how high up that is. And honestly, even if I did, I probably couldn't tell you.
Now, would it become easier after you, as anybody researching this and developing this technology, would it be easier after you reach that certain standard, that line, with space travel, with passenger space travel, to, let's say, get people from that point to the moon, perhaps, or that point to anywhere else in space? Does it become easier at that point?
Yeah, it does. And the reason for it is the reason why we're doing a lot of this testing and the reason why we're doing what we're doing is because we're actively trying to make space travel as cheap as possible, and cheaper makes it easier. And we're actively trying to make sure that our equipment is as reliable as possible. In fact, we're trying to make it more reliable and more reusable and robust than most other rocket companies in existence right now.
So did you get to start with the advantage of, let's say, the space shuttle technology? Is that sort of where your foundation is coming from?
No, actually, God, can I tell you this? No, our technology is our own design. I can say that. It's completely our own design.
Interesting. I would think that, I guess from what I've been hearing from you, is that the hardest part, the most difficult part that you know of right now is just getting that rocket from the land to the Kármán line.
The most difficult part of everything is to make sure that every piece of equipment is perfectly safe before we put a human in the actual capsule. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
It's not so much actually launching the thing. It's just trying to make sure everything is
Well, you do
safe.
know we've been to the moon 6 times, supposedly, right? So what's difficult to get people into space?
Because what we're trying, it's not difficult. Right now it's not about the goal for most space agencies is not to get to the moon or get to Mars or whatever. It's to make space travel as cheap as it possibly can be. When we sent people to the moon, we had all the money in the world because the government gave a shit ton of money to NASA at the time to get us there before the Russians. Right now, we're just trying to make it as cheap and economical as possible. That is the goal.
You just said
for
safe.
Us. That is the goal for SpaceX.
Safe.
That is the goal
for everybody. You spoke about
everybody.
safety. What's the problem with safety? You've been to the moon, right? So you know how to fly in space safely.
We have, but the thing is that the Saturn the Saturn V that took the rock took those people to the moon is a completely different technology than what we have now. Right now, the fuel we are using is different than what they used. The technology, the actual guidance systems is different than what they use. The engine is completely different than what they used. Not to mention that the cost of human life, the safety concern is a lot higher because the people that went up to the moon were Air Force pilots. Where these aren't Air Force pilots that are going up to the moon or that are going into space. These are just regular, everyday people with enough money to buy a ticket to get on the damn thing.
Didn't they send a teacher? Sorry, go ahead, Troy.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to know if they sent a teacher to the ISS, right? They wasn't military.
Right. But we were specifically talking about the Apollo program. We were not talking about anything else.
Okay.
Okay, so your business, let's just say that your private sector of this space travel business is just really just looking for the kind of, I guess, understanding that the first passengers into space, just non-trained passengers, are going to just be people that can afford it and are just technically going to break that barrier between Earth and space, and they're going to pay lots of money for that just to be able to see the Earth from space.
I mean, essentially, yeah. I mean, that's the plan for this specific rocket, but we obviously are not. This isn't our only rocket in development.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's weird by any means. I wouldn't do it. I know there's guys in here that would, but I would.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit crazy to think about. I will give you that, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. If I did, I'm sorry. It is a bit crazy to think about that we're getting all this done just to send passengers into space, but it's not only that. It's well, for lack of better phrasing, it's an excuse to develop the technology that we need to do much more lofty goals, I suppose. Sure. I can't think of a better way to phrase that right now.
Well, I mean, isn't it Elon Musk that says that this is the way we get people to Mars eventually? So we kind of have to start space travel in general, because I mean, I get it. I understand that it's considered space travel, but it's not really that. It's not. You kind of have the impression that you're going off amongst the stars when you say space travel. You know, Star Trek stuff. This is really just going up far enough that you can actually see the Earth from the position we see it from most satellites, right?
For this specific rocket, yes, but I mean, again, we are trying to reach much loftier goals with this specific rocket. The passengers thing is one, it's kind of a novelty for the super rich. Yeah, there's no way in hell I could ever afford a ticket. Mm-hmm. But it's an excuse to develop the technology that we need to go a lot further. And we are actively have plans to go a lot further than just low Earth orbit. Then we are actively working on that technology.
Are you talking about Starship?
No, I don't work for SpaceX.
Oh, who do you work for? Blue Origin or?
Yeah, I work for Blue Origin.
Nice.
Why are they taking so long compared to space? I mean, they've been working on that New Shepard for how long now?
Because they're engineers here.
Can I let me just say something real quick? The average cost of a cruise ship, okay, think about how big a cruise ship, how much materials are required, is about $500 million, okay? Now you're gonna say the average cost, now then the average cost of a rocket, they'll tell you is $500 million. Well, a rocket is a tin can with some guidance systems and a little bit of shielding. And on top of that,
it's a little more than average, that,
hold on. Hold on.
It's $36,000 a kilo.
Hold on. Don't interrupt, please. I'm just trying to state something for the mind to think about. Think about a cruise ship and how much matter and material and stuff goes into building that. Okay, then think about a rocket and how it's basically a can that holds fuel with a little thing on the tip. Now, when you think about the average cost of a cruise ship is $500 million, but the actual average cost of each rocket is $1.5 billion. Where it's, if you have the guidance already, if you've already done all the hard work with the mathematical programs and writing the code for orbits, we've done that because we've sent things to the moon. Why is it still so effing I don't want to get into it. I'm telling you, this is all just for show. Like the more expensive, if they told you that it cost 80 grand.
Let me just, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but first of all, our rockets don't cost nearly that much, not even close. Second of all, a rocket is a lot more complicated than a couple of fuel tanks and a nozzle. It's a lot more fucking complicated.
It's not more complicated than a cruise ship.
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult.
No, get at, bro.
It's a lot more difficult to build.
Okay, hold on.
And he did say that their goal was cheaper space flight, right?
Right, which is why
they're asking the same question you are ultimately.
I'm just saying, think about it, to build a tube that holds gas as opposed to building a floating structure with hotel-like.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, and I'm sorry for whoever I just interrupted. I'm trying to get better about. Sorry, Jake, but let me ask you this: do you have any idea how much liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen costs?
It's free. It's in the sky. Just pull it out.
It's no.
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, so tell me where
we have liquid hydrogen in the sky.
No. Where is the 99% of hydrogen and oxygen in your model? Where is it located? On Earth that we can access.
In the oceans.
Okay, so it's just sitting there for free. You just go there.
Right, but do you have any idea how much it costs to process that into liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen? Do you have any freaking idea how much that fuel costs?
Okay, let me speak. Are you saying that when they do this process, they take money and use the money to turn water into oxygen? Or are you saying they take more matter, like they take some sort of gas to burn? Right? So are they using money or are they just using more stuff to make?
Okay, who's they? Because we
money directly.
Bro, hold on.
Blue Origin. Blue Origin does not make the liquid oxygen or liquid hydrogen. We don't make that shit.
Follow
we
me.
Buy it.
I know. Follow me. So the person who's making it, this is what he's going to go to the ocean, right? He hasn't spent $1 yet. He just went to the ocean. He's going to have his stuff. Right, he's going to use electricity, which is burning gas. Okay, so he's going to burn some gas, which you can fucking pull out of the ground, and then he's going to run a pump, and he's going to pull this water out. Right, so he hasn't spent the fucking $1 yet. He's just burned some fuel. Then he's going to go and take this water through trucks, which are burning fuel, to deliver this water to whatever processing plant, and he's going to use more electricity to process this into whatever you think hydrogen and oxygen is. He hasn't spent $1 yet. What? All he's done is harvest the stuff that is on Earth, and then charge you for it.
That he spent all this money on energy.
He spent time.
Where did it came from?
He spent time.
Or
whatever you want to consider his labors of doing this. It's not money.
Right, which is why
gasoline.
No, you're spending money. Do you have any?
No.
Okay. Do you have any idea how cold liquid oxygen is or liquid hydrogen is?
Let's not get into that.
Stop asking if he has any knowledge.
That's the point. You know how cold. That's the point. Liquid hydrogen is negative 425 or 423 degrees Fahrenheit at ambient pressure and temperature.
Have you ever
any idea how much it costs?
Have you ever element, for fuck's sake? He doesn't even believe in hydrogen and oxygen.
Have you ever measured that yourself?
Yes.
Okay,
it's part of my job.
Hold on. So you have a thermometer that is capable of detecting negative 5 billion degrees or whatever you're saying.
Thermocouples and silicone diodes, but yes.
Oh, okay. So you got a readout on the screen, data on the.
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't detect the temperature of anything. You got a data on the screen.
Oh no! You don't get to say that because I have watched. No. The reason you don't is because I have watched liquid hydrogen go through uninsulated tubing, and it frees the air that's surrounding the tubing. It freezes it. I have watched it. I have watched it
Okay, so tell me why. If you know so much, just why does it do that?
I've watched it turn air into ice.
Okay, why does it do that?
What do you mean? Why does it do that? It's fucking cold.
Oh, why? Why is it cold?
Because the people that made the fuel made it cold and spent a lot of money doing it.
So, okay, but why? You didn't explain why this, whatever you're talking about, makes things cold. How does it do that? Explain to me how it does that. Don't just say it's cold. That's an effect. Yeah, I can see it's cold. Why is it cold?
Because in order for you to have liquid hydrogen at ambient pressure, it has to be very, very,
why?
Very cold.
You're not telling me why. You're just
because if saying... you warm it up, it evaporates, dude.
Okay, why?
It turns from liquid hydrogen.
Happening? You're just telling me effects.
The same reason when you boil water, it evaporates. What are you?
Why
what
does
are you
that?
Talking
Tell
about?
me why that happens. You're so knowledgeable. Tell me why this stuff
Dude,
happens.
Is this gonna just be a game?
No, hold on.
Don't even give him your knowledge. It's not worth.
Bro, hold on. Maybe he doesn't have it.
Maybe I told you ambient pressure, and you just went straight over that.
Okay, hold on.
Like it didn't even matter.
Are you asking me why liquid turns to gas? Is that really what you're asking me?
Yeah, I think he is.
Bro, why do we need 7 people?
7 people?
It's me and you. It's me and you, but there's like a peanut gallery of people going, he's really asking that.
Because it's a really dumb question.
All right, but that you're being...
not a 2-person conversation.
Okay, here we're talking polite. The moment I start asking hard questions, it's like you have to all jump in. It's not a hard
question.
Okay, so then
you learn this shit in middle school, bro.
Questions that you should already know the answer to. That's why people are getting irate.
Oh, I know, but maybe you can just look. Maybe you don't know what you think you know. Okay, so if you know so much,
or maybe I do.
Okay, so then tell me why water boils. Tell me this. You're telling me you know. Why does water turn into quote unquote a gas? Explain how that happens in the physical. Like what is going on?
Because when you heat it up, the molecules start vibrating and bouncing off of each other. Eventually, you'll reach a critical point where they're having to spread apart, and at that point, you're at gas.
Okay, so
when the molecules are closer together, it's water.
Okay, so water is molecules bouncing around against each other? Is that what you're saying?
Liquid water does not have enough energy to bounce when the molecules are bouncing off of each other to spread apart into a gas. When you put energy into it in the form of heat, it spreads apart.
Okay, hold on. So
then you have a gas, and the same thing happens with hydrogen or any other.
Let's slow down. All right, slow down. So you're saying that water is made of individual molecules, right? So water is like when I look at entertain me. Jesus, you don't have to interrupt. When I look at water, I'm looking at billions or trillions of little BBs, right? Is that what you're telling me?
You're looking at 2 hydrogen molecules and an oxygen, or 2 hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom that are in a molecule, and you're looking at trillions, a shit ton of them, depending on
Avogadro's number.
Okay. So basically, what you're telling me is water is like a fine sand, but it just looks like a. Okay, so you're saying it's made.
Fucking even is that statement.
Oh, hold on.
Am I really having this
we don't need other people.
Listen, Area 85. I hope you come back to this.
Well, we don't need.
Don't make East the Doctor be the reason you don't come back.
Why? Okay. Why do you have to talk about me and attack me when I'm just trying to have a conversation?
Because you're asking the most stupid fucking questions. Because you deny the fact that atoms exist.
So it should be easy to answer them then. Why are you so emotionally triggered?
It's painfully easy.
Okay, so is an oxygen atom a solid, a liquid, or a gas? What state of matter is this matter in?
That's not enough information to answer that question.
Entirely.
Hold on.
If you gave the ambient temperature and the ambient pressure, you could answer that question.
Okay.
Thank you, Hal Soy.
Okay, so you told me that. Okay, hold on. We don't need everybody. Why is everybody? Okay.
You just got one atom.
Is he asking one atom?
So we have one atom. Okay, hold on. We have one atom. Let's say we have the oxygen atom. Does an oxygen atom have matter?
What is matter? Atoms are matter.
Okay, so this matter has a physical structure. Now, what state of matter is this?
Kentucky.
A single atom.
hang on. Do we agree that all matter must exist as a solid, a liquid, or a gas or plasma if you want to?
No, because there's actually a bunch of.
Okay, so there's other states. Okay, so what other states of matter? What other states of matter are there besides solid, liquid, gas, and possibly?
I don't things like that.
Okay, so
there's other ones.
So is energy a state of matter?
No.
Materialist.
Okay, so no, so we can throw that out. Okay, so now I'm asking, we have this oxygen atom, which you're saying is matter and physical and has a structure. Now I'm asking you, what state of matter is it in?
It depends on the pressure and temperature.
Okay, so at 50 psi at 100 degrees, you have a single oxygen atom. What state of matter is it in?
I mean,
okay, let me ask you this. Do you see why your whole model is stupid?
No, because I can.
Okay, so then tell me what state. Here, before you speak, let me get this out, and then I'll let you try and mull over it while you do.
The
so
states
you're going to tell me that
a state of matter.
Hold on, let me finish. I'm not done yet. Let me finish.
Question
you're going to tell me that a state. I know, because your model is stupid. You're going to tell me that
my
solid
model
is when you have two. Well, let me finish. So you're going to tell me that a solid is when you have two oxygen atoms pressed together, right? And a liquid is when they're not so pressed together. And a gas is when they're kind of bouncing around. Okay, but what about if you only have one? What state of matter is one oxygen atom in?
Okay, so it has enough energy. It has enough energy at the parameters you described to be a gas. However, in order for it to actually be a state of matter, there has to be more than one of them.
Whoa. So what do you mean you can't have one atom?
You can have one atom.
Okay, so what state of matter is one atom?
They can't interact with other atoms if
I
there
don't
are
care
no other atoms.
What, I just
the state of matter depends on the interaction between atoms. If you've only got one atom, you can't have a state of matter. Am I wrong about this from anybody else?
No,
right.
Use your brain. No, use your brain.
I just did. I just answered the question.
Okay, if you have this atom and it's not in any state of matter, what is it? What do you have? If you don't have a solid, you don't have a liquid, you don't have a gas, you don't. What do you have? What is
you have an atom? You have an atom.
I know. That's just the word. That's just the word. Quantify that to me.
Seem to be in a state of gas.
Explain what it is. Explain
what the
mouthful
question.
It's an oxygen atom.
It's getting to, okay, what is that? What is an oxygen atom? What is it made of? Tell me.
Quarks. And quarks.
What is a quark?
Protons.
Don't go down this rabbit hole.
What is a proton? You're just saying words. Okay, let's picture this.
They're differently charged particles.
Let me
which is why the rocket costs as much as a cruise ship, right?
Check this out.
That's what we were talking about.
Hold on. You're telling me you're trying to quantify something. Picture I wasn't from this world, and you're like, yo, air is atoms. I would be like, okay, what is an atom? And I'm trying to understand. I need you to explain so that I can understand. Oh no, you just said an atom is a quark is energy. Like that doesn't quantify.
An atom is made of particles, and those particles are made of quarks.
An atom is made of particles.
He has a learning disability. He will either intentionally try to not understand what you're saying,
now you're
or he's
attacking
incapable
me.
of understanding.
Now you're attacking me. That's great. So you're telling me that
this is given, man. We've been through this before.
So
you keep asking questions. You keep asking people to explain things. You're not capable of learning them, though.
That's great. Then don't interact. Opinion? Then leave. If you don't think I'm capable of learning, then just leave.
I'm waiting for you to say something dumb. So
okay, I can.
Right hand is exposing how the philosophy cannot deal conceptually with anything other than interactions.
Spurs,
the question that's a problem for your philosophy.
Let me ask you this:
it's not a philosophy when I can look at liquid oxygen. I've physically.
Okay, let me ask you this. I know. So a single oxygen atom, is it physical? Is one oxygen atom physical?
Yes, it's physical.
Okay, and so what shape?
Hold on, right hand, hold on. We've got an echo.
Is it mine?
Sorted now, yeah.
Okay, what shape is this oxygen atom?
What do you mean? What shape is it, dude?
Well,
you've got a nucleus and you've got electrons orbiting around it.
What part? So, would you agree that you have to have a physical? You're telling me this oxygen atom is a thing, right? It's something. So, wouldn't you agree that something has to have a boundary which defines it?
You realize that most of all atoms are just space, right?
Let me try this.
So the atom itself is a nucleus with electrons with electrons orbiting around it in different orbital layers. It's been so long since I've taken chemistry.
I know the model. Okay, so let me ask you.
You want to Google? If you want to know what it looks like, Google what an oxygen atom looks like.
How about this? Do you agree that to have an individual physical object, that object needs its own boundaries, right?
No, not necessarily. I mean, okay, I don't understand what you mean. I don't understand.
Okay, so then let me clarify. Let me clarify. So you know how you have like picture a rock. You know how where the rock stops? Let's consider that its boundary, right? That is where the rock exists inside that shape, that boundary. Okay, like a leaf has a shape, a boundary. Now, when you're going to tell me you have an oxygen atom, I want to know where its boundary is. Where does the oxygen atom stop? And everything else, or where does the oxygen atom stop and where does something else start? Can you quantify that for me?
Yeah, I guess you could consider that the outermost orbital.
What shape is an orbital? It's a circle? Are we dealing, but it's a three-dimensional. So an atom's a three-dimensional object. So what
it's a circle, but you've got multiple orbitals.
Okay, but
yeah, there you go.
So it's a sphere. For God's sake. Do you see how, well, this is your model, bro. Don't God save your model.
No, you're asking really dumb.
No,
you're asking
I'm
really dumb questions.
I'm asking hard questions.
No, these aren't hard questions. These are.
So then they should be
crap you learn in elementary school, bro.
So tell me what they told.
It's crap
you learn in elementary school. These aren't hard questions. You want hard questions? Try taking a PDE final.
All right. So what shape is an atom? Tell me. It should be easy. Circle. It's a sphere. It's a cube. What three-dimensional shape?
No one has understanding of kindergarten shapes. So
okay. Are you asking
a shape that relies on quantum shape?
Okay, you're just saying quantum shape.
No experience with.
Okay, but you're just saying quantum shapes. That doesn't.
Okay, well, let me ask.
Let me finish. No, let me ask.
What the hell are you getting at, mate? What's the point of all these questions?
Let me explain. You're trying. When you tell me something, let me finish. When you
everything you're saying is irrelevant because I can look at liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen.
Okay, that's great. You can look
everything you say.
When you okay, great. So then be quiet for a second. So when if I told you how an internal combustion engine worked, and I was like, well, you have a quark, and you were like, well, what's the quark? Well, the quark is a whole bunch of particles, and you're like, what's a particle? And well, the particles are a whole bunch of gluons. You're like, well, what's a gluon? And after all that, you would have no understanding of how the engine worked. But if I was like, well, the engine is an encased area of metal that creates a chamber with a piston, then you would start understanding.
Right, as you write the hand, that would be called speaking. That would be called speaking to speaking. Would you? That would be called speak. That would be called speaking. Would you?
Why do you have to interrupt?
Why do you have to monologue?
Why do you have to interrupt?
Why do you have to monologue?
Why do you have to interrupt?
Why do you have to monologue?
Why can I just want to know
anything right there?
Because, and this is it. This is the.
And you're repeating yourself over and over again and not actually letting me answer the question.
And this is where we come to just interrupting me instead of conversation.
What does any of this have to do with how expensive it is to process liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen?
Is there enough?
What does any of this have to do with
Look,
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Let Right the Hand ask Ariel, and then Brian, you just go in after that. Just say the question, right the hand to area, and let him answer, and then let Brian say his statement. Because we want to go around a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hey man, I'll give up the mic. Just if you want me to stop talking, I will. But don't just.
No, not to give her the mic, but just so we've got like 50 people. We've got like over 50 people here, and obviously they want to say their.
Sure, man. Hey, so my piece is to have an atom. If you were trying to explain to me so that I can understand it, what an atom is, when you just say, well, it's quarks, it's good, I don't get an understanding. I'm still left with just these words.
Then study chemistry, man. I mean,
what I'm asking
you want me to teach you chemistry? You want me to teach you chemistry right now? Is that what you're asking me to do?
No, I want you to I want you to show your understanding. You're telling me I understand this. I know how this works, and I'm saying, well, then tell me how it works. And you're going, well, I can't.
Actually, what I originally told you
to teach him.
What I originally told you was what I originally told you is that hydrogen, liquid hydrogen, and liquid oxygen is very expensive, and that I have seen it.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that you've seen a whole bunch of small things that you can't quantify the shape of or the boundary of.
I can't
combining into. Then
okay, you want me to quantify it?
What shape is
the time average shape of an oxygen atom is a sphere. Time average.
But that's a two-dimensional. We're talking about a three-dimensional.
No, time average. Time average is three-dimensional.
Okay, a circle.
That's why I specifically said time average.
Time average is not a shape. Okay, to have 3D, to be in 3D reality. Again, they have to interrupt. So a 3D ship. Okay, I know. Now
it was actually Brian's turn to talk. It wasn't your turn to like talk.
Okay, and it wasn't your tongue either. But everybody just.
It wasn't my turn, but I had to point that out to you.
No, fine.
What I was going to say is that you tailor what you say to what you're talking about. If you want to talk about an internal combustion engine, you tailor it to what it is. You don't have to go any further down than that. If you want to have a discussion about atomic theory, you need to actually go into the complexity necessary to talk about it. You can't just oversimplify everything.
Okay, the point is, if you can't simplify atomic theory to the point where it could be understood, then one, you don't understand it, and two, it doesn't make sense.
Bullshit.
Or maybe you're just too uneducated on the subject to understand my simple explanation.
I cannot take quantum theory and make it accessible to, say, a 5-year-old. It's just not possible.
Now, what we're basically talking about is whether or not something is what it is in essence or by interactions, basically. When you talk about the state of matter, it's a group of interactions that make it, gas, liquid, plasma, whatever. It's the interactions, not the essence. You don't necessarily have a water molecule, gas molecule, or whatever. In the current theory, it can't handle that. It says that the interactions make it what it is, not the essence. So you'd have to talk about the basis of the philosophy and whether or not it's a good basis or if there's another possible philosophy we could use.
Lemonbird
easily explain how these things actually work. Go ahead, guys.
I'm sorry to interrupt whoever I was interrupting, but that was aggravating. Lemonbird, if our current understanding doesn't work, is false, then why does it work? Obviously, it works because I get liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen weekly, a lot of it.
It's all about pragmatism, though. At that point, I mean, just because something's pragmatic doesn't necessarily mean that it's
true. Give us a pragmatic explanation of how it does
neutrons, and electrons that make everything. How come these three things make everything?
I don't know what's
different from the other ones. Protons are different from protons.
You got to go deeper. You got to go deeper than protons. There's quarks. There's gluons. There's the bosons.
How do you pick one out from another that says this thing's water and this thing's like crap?
Some slight modification.
Gluons and crack, and then the gluons and water.
It doesn't have to be correct because it works, but because it works, it means it's at least not entirely untrue.
It means it's useful.
You draw cartoons and you agree your cartoon. That makes it work.
No, it makes it work because we're able to produce the chemicals that we want to produce in the quantities and ratios that we want to produce.
Drawing a cartoon and labeling a circle something that you can't see or feel or touch.
Geniuses to explain how it really works.
You can name a whole bunch of shadows and call that your dicks in your hand, but does that make it true? No.
No, Demach. The fact that we're able to use our model to make the shit that we want to make in the ratios and proportion. No, we're physically using our knowledge to make chemicals to do these processes in the way we want to do them. If all that was horseshit, we wouldn't be able to do that. Sorry, champ.
Hold on. You don't use the explanations to make things, right? When you draw the rock doesn't. Hold on. Let me finish.
In a classroom setting, or a neutron, or an electron, like on the desk.
That shit actually has applications, Demach.
Can you show us all that shit? Because
that shit actually has application.
The boundary of those ideas of what you're calling their ideas, like,
and I
have
answered
a boundary, like a shape with them, and like an actual object.
And I answered. Yeah, and I answered it.
And they're on a desk somewhere. We can go look at them.
Well, the thing is, maybe we could get something.
Model, yeah.
Maybe we could get something even more pragmatic that can work even more. Do we just stop after we get what we want, or do we keep going and see what else is out there? I mean, if you'll go and want to talk about interactions, frequency has a lot of interactions, and it has even more interactions available than just the 7 or 8, elementary particles that we have out there.
Lemonbird, do you have a frequency matter model that can produce liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen? Do you have a model which we
theoretical level? No, you just put
to actually apply that.
You just put the salt on the cymatic sound plate, and you make different shapes, like thousands of different shapes.
So your answer is no, you don't.
The sound and frequency forming matter into different shapes.
So your answer is no. You don't have a model that works for us to actually be able. You don't have a usable model that actually works in order to make the chemicals that we can make using our model.
Not yet. You'd have to take the frequency of the chemical.
You never will.
You would need to take the frequency of the chemical that you want and then take that frequency to make the matter. That's the theory right now. Because everything has the frequency.
It's not a theory unless it's backed up with data.
Alrighty. Well, we can
it's not a theory.
Our exploration in a different direction. Then let's just.
It's not a
model. Doesn't explain a model. A model is supposed to represent reality, motherfucker. It's not supposed to just make models up out of your ass and just call them models.
It can, but it may not.
The model is used to test it against reality. If reality matches the model, then the model is true.
Where's your little model of Earth? You say you got these neutrons, these protons, these gluons, these quarks, these electrons. You say you got all this shit, and you know about all this shit. We're going to produce a little baby Earth with something rotating around it.
What the fuck?
Produce any of this bullshit you're talking about.
What?
It's all cartoons on a fucking piece of paper that you call a model.
What the fuck
like
does
Santa
that?
Claus is a
Atomic
model.
Did you
know
Santa Claus? Moron.
Is this Santa Claus is real?
What does the atomic model have?
Paper doesn't make it real. You have to have something to go with
everyone.
What makes a scientific model true is if the model matches reality. If it matches reality and matches actual measurements, then it's true. If it doesn't match, then it's bullshit and it's thrown out. So
the ultimate test of that model.
How do you see an electron?
The ultimate test of that model will be to reproduce reality down to the particular. That's what he's saying. They can miniature Earth. Reproduce creation down to the nub to test the model, in its entirety. If it cannot, then perhaps that model, while pragmatic and working, is missing something.
No,
chemo.
That's not how that shit works, dude. We don't need to produce a universe in order to prove the model. That is total and complete ridiculous horseshit. Sorry.
Then perhaps the model is missing something.
No, it doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means that there's no freaking reason to. Actually,
Flat Earth should create a model instead of just claiming a flat Earth.
If
it's a reality, it should be able to be made, and all the other bullshit you just went on about.
Right there,
we have the model, but most people are anti-religious, so they're trying to cobble together something else.
Yeah, we have the Hebrew yourself.
Yeah, you can put an Earth on pillars right now on top of a watery deep. You don't even need pagan gravity.
Well, here's the thing. If you claim the Earth was made into a globe from a flat plane, you should be able to reverse engineer it and have a fucking flat Earth model today.
Well, we could get some of the elements, yeah, but that goes for both sides. If you can't quite reproduce it, perhaps the model is missing a little spark or whatever. That goes for both sides.
Right Hand made the point that rockets are just simple, empty structures, so we should be able to do them for really cheap, which is then begs the question, why hasn't the Flat Earth community put some money together and built a rocket?
Yeah, there you go.
It's so cheap and easy.
Yeah, since it's just a tin can with a little nozzle on the end, why don't you guys make a rocket and go up into space if it's really that freaking easy?
They've done high altitude video, yeah. They've shown that it's flat and low.
Well, look what happened the last time that happened. That's not a good idea, right?
Accidents happen.
Right.
Yeah, but it's so easy.
The first person to go high was Augustus Piccard in a helium balloon. He went to 10,000 feet and said the Earth looked like
10,000 feet, you said.
A disc with upturned edge, like the ice creeping up the walls of the firmament.
Yeah, that's because of turbidity, where the horizon suspended matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just rising up.
He went to 51,000 feet, which is, by the way, the flight level of a private jet. You can fly a private jet at flight level 510, right? People aren't seeing the edges of the fucking ice wall from flight level 510.
Probably not. Yeah, that's true.
But I'm saying you're not seeing the curve of the ball.
Why are you calling it 510, Jake?
Well, like East the Doctor, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but my company has seen the curve of a ball. We've seen the ball. Sorry to break you, man.
Where's the? Can you show us a picture of this? What it looks like? Never seen a real picture of the ball curvature. Does NASA?
Yeah, okay.
Or NASA, we don't rely on NASA. NASA is fake.
Spurs.
Yeah.
Spurs. There's a new picture of Earth produced every 10 minutes by a satellite called Himawari 8. Just go on the website and you can see it.
No.
There you go.
You said from your rocket, you've seen the Earth, right?
But if he accepts that, he can't come here and troll every day.
Yeah, but I want to see the picture from his rocket. All we get is fake CGI pictures from NASA. So if he's got something that's real, that would be good to see.
Are you really asking me to release proprietary company information? Not to mention that would be a massive fucking ITAR
No, I'm just asking you to
violation.
back up your claim of the Earth curving. You say you've seen it. Let's see it. Let's have a look.
But you're asking me to do that. You're asking me to do something that would put me in prison.
So the shape of the Earth is classified.
Sorry, I'm calling you names.
So the
roll the dice, bro.
shape of the Earth is classified. Then it's restricted to know the.
I don't like you, but I shouldn't be calling you names. I do apologize for that.
But is the shape of the Earth restricted, or can we see it?
Don't ever apologize to Chemo. He deserves every bit of hate he gets.
I mean, that's true. I've watched a lot of his
Chemo is a
debates.
despicable human being. Some of the things that he's done
look at his
absolutely despicable.
Yeah.
So again, you say that you've seen curvature. You say you've seen curvature from your rockets. I mean, that would be very interesting because there's lots of.
You would just deny it.
What it should look like.
No. I want to put it. I want to try and put it on the big screen here. I want to have a look at what you say is the curve of the Earth.
Let's have a look at the video from
theoretically,
the
if I were
that shows us what it looks like.
Yeah, I want to see what you see. I've never seen a real picture of the Earth from a high altitude.
Yeah, you have. You just deny them. You just deny them all. And if I actually did provide you a video, the freaking video from the onboard camera of our rocket, you would just claim it's fake, like all of the other onboard rockets from all of the other space agencies and/or companies.
Why? There's nothing stopping anyone going to.
Is true is going to be rejected if it's not part of a consistent narrative.
It is consistent, Lemonbird.
No, it isn't. I've never seen a vacuum next to a pressurized system without a container there. So where's the where is it?
Yeah, but Lemonbird, the thing you don't understand is the atmosphere isn't a pressurized system next to a vacuum. That's what you don't get.
That's not a semantic shift, though.
But it's not. It's not how it works. It doesn't.
This has been explained to him on hundreds of occasions.
He knows.
It doesn't go from.
They all know. They know. They don't care.
Fair enough.
The way that you shift it is by saying it's a gradient. A vacuum next to a moderately pressurized part, next to another more pressurized part. That's the way that you do a semantic shift, but it still reduces.
Are you denying there's a pressure gradient? Are you denying there's a pressure gradient?
I say it's under a contained firmament dome.
Wait a minute. So you agree that there's a pressure?
I have a different explanation for the pressure gradient.
Under a firmament dome.
You agree that there's a pressure gradient. So why can't that pressure gradient go all the way to zero? Why is
vacuums don't equalize like that without containment?
Why is the difference between 14.7 psi and 12.8, which is the pressure I'm currently at, different than 2 psi and 0?
Because after you have containment, things settle, but you need to have containment first. Otherwise, it just equalizes
unless there's an outside force acting on it.
But then you have to prove pagan gravity, which is disproved by the fact that we have no 8 inches per mile squared of curvature.
It hasn't been disproven because you can measure it. If you can measure it, then it's real. You can measure 9.81 meters per second squared of acceleration. You can measure that, Lemonbird.
That's just pulling out a stopwatch and timing how long it takes something to fall. That's all. You didn't go to the center of the Earth to prove that stuff is attracted to that point.
That's velocity. That's not acceleration, Lemonbird.
All you're talking about is the philosophy that you're using to interpret the data.
That's not philosophy. That's a measurement. You can measure that.
But you're not quantifying that the Earth is the cause. You're not quantifying the Earth is the cause. The only thing you did was measure the speed of the rock fall.
You can quantify that with various experiments. Obviously, the one you've heard of is the Cavendish.
Okay,
unless
and now
you can disprove that,
torsion bar.
unless you can
okay, but can you prove that
you don't need to disprove Cavendish? You just need to reinterpret it with another paradigm and another philosophy. You're in an ether medium that is always present and swimming in and out of objects, and that would generate the force with the frequency flowing through the ether medium with another philosophy and another interpretation rather than mass attracting mass.
Do you have a model which we can compare against measured data to test the bullshit you just spewed? Yes or no?
Electromagnetism would be the closest thing, talking about the electromagnetic medium surrounding the object.
Okay, wait, hold on. When you talk model,
okay, so that's a no.
Hold on, wait. This is a very important question. When you say model, did you model reality, or did you create a model that matches reality? So what came first, your model or reality?
Entirely depends on what you're specifically talking about.
Your reality was here before we were here.
The model for what?
Hold on. You're talking about this ball earth model, this model you have, all this thing. That model is based on what? What did you base your model on? Ideas or reality?
What specific model are you talking about?
Did you go to the center of the earth to see if stuff is attracted there and just hovers? Or did you just look at two balls that appear to go toward each other and just build a whole model off of that, assuming that's what's happening with the earth?
Lemonbird, I'm talking to East. I'll talk to you later. I can't, okay?
Just tell us what the model is based on. What did you, you're
model?
Like, okay, you had nothing.
What model are you asking me about?
The one you keep saying you have that we don't. What is this model you have?
What one? Are you talking about the model of the solar system? Are you talking about the model of gravity? Are you talking about Bohr's model of the atom? What model are you talking about?
About gravity. In the context of what we were talking about, it would be the model of gravity. Why would you go to the solar system? That doesn't even make any sense. Stay on the topic we're talking about, gravity by extension.
When we're talking about
you keep saying a model. We were just talking about gravity, for fuck's sake.
Okay, so
before that, we were talking about the atomic model. Before that, we were talking about
right now
model. It has changed many times. Which model are we talking?
Okay, let's go with the gravity.
We were just talking about gravity. How about that?
Guess what I'm going to pretend to be so I can make all the flat earthers come in here.
All right, so where did this, so at one point you didn't have a gravity model. Where was the start of the gravity model? What's
These Clovers, they don't know.
Nobody's been to the center of the earth to verify this. This is just a philosophical way to interpret the data. There's another philosophical way to begin to interpret the data and begin to make another model too. That's the problem when you don't have reality to back up your statement, because now you're just building blocks and puzzle pieces based off of philosophical assumptions. Those philosophical assumptions need to be
data. It's based off of data.
Matter to hold.
It's based off of data, Lemonbird.
Okay. Where did the data come from?
Reality.
Okay, so what you're telling me is you modeled reality, right?
What? Come on, bro. Are we talking about the model of gravity?
Okay. But you just said,
is that okay? Does that mean yes?
Listen. You said the model comes from yes. You said the model comes from data. Any model doesn't matter. The model will start with the data, right?
This specific one, I believe, came from measured data. Yes.
Okay, so I believe that all models, regardless, must come from measured data. So you said measured data comes from reality.
Oftentimes it's a mixture.
Okay, so are you saying that you modeled reality?
Okay, you're going general again. Okay. Are we talking about gravity specifically, yes or no?
Listen to me. When you just don't interrupt and just try to understand my point. Don't interrupt and just try and understand my
English.
point.
Do you speak it, motherfucker?
Yes. Oh my God. So you're going to say we have a solar system model, we have a gravitational model, we have a whatever model. I'm going to say whenever you say we have X model, that model must come from something. You can't make a model from nothing. And you're going to be like, oh, you're right. This model comes from data. And I'm like, okay, now data can't come from nothing. Where does the data come from? And you're going to say the data comes from reality. So we follow this chain from reality to data to the model. And I'm going to say you modeled reality, right?
I mean, oftentimes is the case, but yeah,
okay,
sure.
Now, how many models of reality can you have? And now you know what. Hold on. This is what. Maybe you're not. How many models of reality from reality can you make based on the data, which can only come from reality? How many models?
Your question is nonsensical.
No,
Sorry, Jake.
Let me explain it. Let me explain the
model for gravity is not going to be the same model that you use for the freaking atom.
Okay. Do you agree that all the data for any model must come from reality?
No. I mean, oftentimes, but a lot of times it's also a mixture.
A mixture of what?
A mixture
we
between.
need to give Area 85 a chance to speak. Nobody else interrupt. We have to hear from Area 85 for the duration of the 24-hour cycle. What's that, another hour or two we got to go?
Shit, I don't even know,
We've
man.
only been going for 8 hours.
Well, Curved, he is a rocket professional, expert, and obviously it's very rare to have people who actually work in this industry, right? Where we get to question them about their reality, right?
Mo, the point
That's why we enjoy Mr. Scott here. He's an
not the only goddamn person here.
Well, the point is you modeled reality, and there can only be one model of reality. So you modeled reality, and then
that's not true. No, stupid. But there's no point in trying to discuss it with you.
The conceptual
philosophy is so obviously false and easily explained, but nobody can get a goddamn word out around here.
The problem with believing that models are reality is it leads to a rigid interpretation because most people say that there's only one reality. So if you believe that models are reality because of positivism or whatever, then that's going to lead to a rigid, fundamentalist, very strict model that you'll hold to and try to exclude everything else as this being the only version of reality that holds. When you can have multiple models that explain the same reality, it leads to rigid dogma and a really strict mind that is unwilling to accept other interpretations if you believe models have to be reality as opposed to an attempt to represent some aspect of reality. That is all.
Okay, Lemonbird, I'll say this again. Unless you can show an example where a specific model for something does not match observable, collectible data, then you have no argument.
We have with helium going away from the Earth. Helium goes away from the Earth. That just proves a mass attracting mass and gravity right there. So let's look at the models right there.
It doesn't. Can you show me the calculations for how you know that? Because that's how you test the model.
It goes away from the Earth. It's not gravitative.
No, that's not how gravity works. Unless that's not how gravity works.
Hold on.
In order for you to make that claim, you have to actually show that the gravitational model wouldn't allow for that.
The model is based on reality.
The way you do that is
it's always going to work. Do you understand this? All of your data comes from reality, which always behaves the same way. So your model is never going to change because it's based on reality, which never changes. There's one model.
But the parameters you're putting into it change. The variables you put into it are changing.
Those are all affected by reality. So what you'll do is you'll drop a rock from 5 feet in reality, write down the data. That's your model. Then you'll drop the rock from 10 feet, write down the data. That's your model. All you're doing
the data isn't the model.
Listen.
You're wrong. You're already wrong, East.
No, listen.
The data isn't
pretending like you can teach him.
Listen, bro. The data going really well. The data comes from reality. The model comes from the data. The model is reality. So your data comes from reality. So your data is never going to be wrong. Your data cannot be wrong. It comes from reality.
Oh, it absolutely can. A lot of mathematical models have already been proven wrong.
Listen. When you say you're
already listen.
Your model is based on reality. You're already wrong. There's no point in continuing.
When did you 9.8?
That's correct.
9.8 meter. Oh my God.
You need to let him respond. Hang on, East. You need to let him respond. You're not.
Because I'm not getting they're never letting me talk. I get 3 words.
All I can hear is you. Please just let him respond, and then you respond to him. Go ahead. Area.
The problem with what you're trying to say is that when you collect data, you build an an equation with input variables based on that data. So and if that equation works for any input variables that you gather from reality, and it matches the output that you're measuring from reality, then that's how you know it's correct. It doesn't mean that the model is always going to be correct. Take it from me. I've got a published paper, a published scientific journal over with a mathematical model I derived myself. And the initial shit I derived didn't work, even though I put in measurements from reality. You're dead wrong.
Know it didn't work?
Because it didn't match reality.
Okay, so would you say that So you would say that reality has the final say on what anything is?
Yes. Reality is the arbiter of truth. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Okay, so how many models based on that arbitrary truth, right? So you're saying that reality is the absolute truth. So how many correct models? How many correct models based on that can you have? Can you have 5 that are correct, or is there only one?
It depends on what you're talking about, dude.
Reality. How many?
Right, but you
multiple reality.
See how people are jumping
what
in?
meaement are you taking from reality?
Okay.
What data points are you collecting? It absolutely matters.
No, it doesn't.
You can't put in mass into the into the freaking
Boyle's law.
Okay, listen.
Whatever. Yeah, you can't take an equation that's meant to represent this part of reality and take those data points and stick them into an equation that represents that part of reality.
Okay,
that's not how this shit works, dude.
Let me. Then you're not understanding my point.
You can't take the points for gravity and stick them into the Bohr model of the atom. That makes no sense.
So then so don't interrupt. Maybe I didn't get it out. Let me try again. Okay, so let me try. When you're going.
You talk for 10 minutes, and then I get to respond for a minute and a half, and then you're asking me to shut up. Are you serious?
No, I'm just asking to not talk when I'm talking. That's all I'm asking.
But you talk for 10 minutes straight. You talk for 10 minutes, and I get a minute and a half reply, and then you talk for another 10 minutes. That's bullshit.
Both of you limit yourself to 20 seconds. You're goddamn talking too long.
So if
I agree.
So you're saying that the only way to have a correct model is if that model agrees with reality completely, regardless of whether it's gravity, solar. Do we?
Correct.
Okay, so that means, if we both agree, that means there can only be one correct model. Okay, so now what you're going to say is that there is one reality, but you can have 2 models that can model.
Yeah, but there's a lot of data. There's a lot of different data points that you can collect from reality. You got temperature, pressure, energy states.
Did I ask about? Did I bring up temperature?
Physical length measurements.
Did I bring up? Do all of those?
The point is, you have to put the correct data into the correct equation. There's no equation that's going to allow you to put different input variables from that you would normally put into Einstein's theory of relativity into the Bohr model of the atom or whatever the hell else.
Okay,
those are different variables. They're different input variables. Therefore, you need different equations. Therefore, you need different equations.
Okay,
but I think there's a bit. There's an obfuscation going on here, though, because he's talking about. He's saying that the model has to be based on reality.
Right.
Or I can't remember quite how he phrased it.
That's it. You got it.
But then he's saying that the model is effectively exhaust. That the model is modeling every aspect of reality, and that's not the case. It's modeling, and that's why you can have, several models that model different aspects of the same thing.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying you have 3 models for why the rock falls, 6 models for the solar system. 2. What you're doing is you're going to have one model.
I'm not saying that either.
But that you're trying to make it seem like I'm saying that. What I'm saying is that in all of reality. So listen, I'm saying in all of reality, there's one. If you're going to see a rock fall, that's one model. If you're going to see a solar system, that's another model. Like all of the models, whether they come from their respective counterpart in reality. Do we agree to that? No, that's
incorrect.
Okay, so show me a model that doesn't get its data points from reality and is still correct.
No, that's not what I meant.
agree with that.
That's not okay. What I said was incorrect. Is that you said a rock fall versus planetary orbits? You can use the same equation. You can use Einstein's same equations. The difference is that Newton's equations are good enough here on Earth. But you can use Einstein's equations for both. You're just going to spend a lot more unnecessary time doing it.
Okay, let me ask you this then.
Problems is
Let me ask you this.
a different issue than just knowing how fast something drops.
Do you think it's possible that in the future we will create or we will find one mathematical equation that explains everything with no hole?
Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, now let's, for the sake of argument, I hate doing it, but for the sake of argument, let's say we found that, right? Would you say we've then completely modeled reality?
I think so. I mean, I'm not a physicist, but I think so.
I would agree. Now, my point is, if we did that, there would be one model, right? Like there wouldn't be many different models. It would be like, look, we've done it. This is it. There's only one model. So to say we have a model, show us yours is a little dishonest.
What is the point of all this? Seriously, like, what is the point?
Well, I think he's getting to the point now.
Yeah,
he wants you to count how many models there can be, and he's arguing there's really only one true model.
No, that's not my. Please, I don't need anybody to make my point for me.
You don't have a point.
Let him get
if you had a point, you could have stated it in under 20 seconds.
Well, I think you just did state it for him, Verbal, but he disagrees, so let him get it out.
Yeah, under 20 seconds. My point is, if you're going to say, we have a model, show me yours, I'm trying to show you that inevitably all models come from reality, and eventually there will only be one model because it's all based on reality, and then there's no debate. You can't be show me yours, show me mine. There's the one absolute one, which is based on reality. So this whole show me yours, show me
you're right, you're wrong. Thank you.
A model is an interpretation of reality, and so we're using these interpretations to guide further action and further absorption of other data in the future. So if the model is incorrect, it can't absorb certain other data, or it will try to twist other data towards its interpretation. That's the problem with thinking that your model has to be reality instead of a possible interpretation that can be replaced by another of reality.
Well, then give us an alternative. But so far, you haven't given me anything that I can test. And that's the problem, Leonard. Until you give me a
debate. Let's start with the ether. Instead of matter attracting matter, how about ether flowing in and out of matter? How about that as the starting basis?
That's not a model. You need to give me...
That's the starting basis for the model to reinterpret everything. Look at the flow of the space in and out of matter now, not matter attracting matter.
But why do that when we already have a model that works without exception?
Why not?
As I said before, the interpretation will guide further future action and how you interpret new data. Do you interpret new data with a new paradigm, or do you twist the new data toward the old paradigm?
You don't.
How do we test it?
You don't interpret data. You stick it into the freaking equation and see if it matches reality, dude.
How do we test
that? If they can handle it. If the model can't handle it, it's time for a new model.
But the thing is, it can and it works, and you have no alternative to that. Give me an equation for what you're talking about that I can test. Otherwise, you have
It really didn't work with dark matter, though. The universe and its galaxies were spinning way too fast from Newtonian mechanics and gravity. So they had to write in an error bar and a fudge factor of like 85% of their equations. So all you did was take the fact that the old equations couldn't handle the new data and twisted the new data toward the old model, saying that there has to be dark matter to explain these equations instead of looking at another model. So let's just look at another model: frequency, sound, water, fluids.
That's not how that works. Yeah, that's not how that works.
It's not how that works. Go ahead.
That's not how that works.
Do you understand how scientific progress works, Lemon?
No, he doesn't.
The progress doesn't happen, though, sometimes if the paradigm's effed up. If you have to write in 85% of dark matter into your equation to make up for the boo-boo and the fudge factor, maybe it's time to look for a new model.
Read a scientific history book. Just read a book based on the history of scientific progress, please.
That's not how dark matter works, dude. So we have a model that works for pretty much everything. And the model is showing that there is something out there that we're calling dark matter that is producing essentially inverse gravitational effects. We don't know what that is yet, but that doesn't mean the model is wrong. That simply means we don't know what it is.
It means the explanation the model provides at this time is incomplete.
Hold on, but if your model is math and you put this new information, like Lemon made a great point. You get this new information. Hold on. You get this new information from reality. You input it into your equation, and it doesn't work. It's off. Right now, you're like, oh, hold on. That is what happens.
No, it's not. You're forming an argument based on incorrect.
Newton breaks apart at the quantum level. Mass attracting max breaks apart at the quantum level, right? His equation breaks apart. So now you're going to say, well, that doesn't work. And instead of saying it doesn't work, you go, well, we know it's still right. Even though it doesn't work, we're just going to force these numbers in. We're just going to keep forcing them in, even though it doesn't work. And that's ridiculous. If you get new data,
that's because of pragmatism, right there, and because they got what they wanted from the equation before, and they still get what they want up to a point, so they're still willing to keep it in this area, but now they need something else to give them something else that they want in this other area, and now you no longer have a unifying philosophy. You have fractured piece apart science with no overarching philosophy to unify it. That's a problem, except pragmatism. That's it.
Lemonbird, our knowledge is incomplete, but that doesn't mean the knowledge we have currently is wrong. And the fact that it's not that we're trying to warp the data to make what we want. No, we take the data, we put it into the equation, and it gives us the correct answer. The equation, the model matches reality. That's how we know it's right. And until you can show where that model doesn't work, you have no argument. Period.
We do.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but the thing is, because of all this pragmatism.
Again, it just means that the explanation is incomplete. It still works locally, but the answer and the solution isn't all-encompassing for every point in space.
If you take input from reality at a microscopic level, quantum level, and input it into your model and it doesn't work, your model's incomplete. It's not incomplete, it's wrong. Because your model
it's incomplete.
Should be, it's wrong.
Incomplete. It's still accurate at several levels.
If I
it's
have
still
a math
appropriately
equation,
describe the rotation of the planet in the solar system.
You're describing reality through a math equation that's wrong. So your answer is not incomplete, it's wrong.
It's
There's only one correct answer. How many correct ansers are there to a math equation? Many
it's not
or
wrong
one?
if you get the same answer. And the answer is reproducible and accurate and makes good prediction.
It doesn't
it's just incomplete. It doesn't describe every scenario.
No, it doesn't. It's
wrong. It doesn't have to match at the quantum level.
Yeah,
that's the point.
It does.
The equation
it must be right.
The equation wasn't meant to work at the quantum level. It was meant to work at the macro level, or not macro,
because
but it was
all you did was model reality. You saw what you saw, and it worked. So you just put an equation to what worked, and then
that's not how the theory of relativity was made.
Then why doesn't it? If your equation
it wasn't meant to. That's the point.
But if it's right, why doesn't it work?
Guys,
it does work for the. It does work.
So
when applied
at certain scales, or understanding is incomplete.
If your equation is right, if your equation is correct, why doesn't it work at the
guy?
Can I just clarify something? So Newton observed that things fall to the ground. We call that the law of gravitation, and his simplified equation was literally F equals ma. Newton has been declared today as technically wrong because relativity describes that in more detail. But Newton was still right. The fact is, things do still fall to the ground. He just lacked the detail. What we're talking about now is increased levels of detail of something that we already know to be right. We're not replacing anything. We're not correcting anything, so to speak.
Okay,
it still applies.
Nobody was debating whether the apple fell to the ground. That was not that's not the thing that Newton was like, aha! No,
it's the interpretation of what's going on that's being questioned.
They refuse to understand or learn. I mean, that was a pretty good explanation.
Which was just proven wrong. So now that Newton was
proven wrong.
Yes, so now Einstein said no, because mass attracting max, the whole reason Einstein created space-time bending, because attraction would require a
created?
Show me what Einstein said about Newton's explanation was wrong.
Okay, he said that mass attracting mass is an attraction, and an attraction is a force, and a force would require a fuel. That's why he said gravity isn't a force, and it's the bending of space-time. Have you ever read his fucking...
What part of that disagrees with Newton?
Okay, listen. I'll tell you. To have a force, can you have a constant force without a fuel supply?
Not without appealing to mysticism and the occult.
Yeah,
that's why. Show me a constant force with no fuel, with nothing fueling it, and that's where it's Einstein's issue. If actually you think about it, if all the people who shit on him, he's actually smart about this. I agree that you cannot have some kind of quote unquote force without a fuel.
You're missing something, right? Newton said, fact is, stuff falls to the ground. Einstein said, fact is, space-time gets curved. That causes the fall to the ground.
Okay, so now we have Einstein looking at the exact same thing Newton looked at, but getting in a different interpretation because he was a different person.
It's not a different interpretation. It's simply an expansion of the knowledge that Newton discovered. It's an expansion. It's an extension. We are increasing our knowledge.
How can one person see the exact same thing but come to a deeper understanding if it's not just personal stories and beliefs?
You want an example?
More accurate, detailed
No,
data.
hold on. Here's the giant. But they have the same observation. Newton and Einstein had the exact same data, the apple falling.
No.
Yet from that data, from that data, somehow Einstein was able to extrapolate that it wasn't the size of the Earth that was doing it. It was the size of the Earth was warping this third party, which was then influencing the rock. Right? Like, how did he come to that conclusion when Newton couldn't? Even though they both
didn't. They both didn't start from scratch, dude. Well, Newton did, but Einstein built upon Newton's knowledge.
I'm saying, what more knowledge? He saw the apple fall. What more knowledge can you?
It's not just that Newton came up with equations.
He
built
off
of those equations.
And what are those? And those equations are based on the apple falling,
Einstein had
But
people on trains and
Newton didn't
to look
come
at.
up with a conclusion, I think, in the way that you're framing it. Newton didn't state a conclusion. He said he didn't know. He didn't understand why, or he didn't know why mass was attracting mass. Right?
I don't even think he didn't even say that.
He didn't make a conclusion on it.
He just knew how to. He just knew how to model
mass attracting mass.
Right.
I don't even think he thought mass attracting mass.
He just came up with a way of. He just came up with rules for describing it, but I don't think he made a conclusion, did he?
Yeah, no, you're right. Mass attracting mass is incorrectly attributed to Newton.
You're saying that they made conflicting conclusions, but I don't think that's true.
I meant more the idea that the rock fell because the Earth had a physical attraction to the rock is totally different in theory, and not just in theory, but in the mechanical operation.
No, it's
there
not.
being a
really
space-time. Yes,
no, it's not.
Hold on. One.
How is it different?
I'll explain. One is a force or a pulling mechanism from the Earth. The other is the lack of something there, which causes an object to move unopposed. Those are two. One is the Earth influencing. The other is an unopposed descent. Those are two totally different
elementary
mechanicals.
school explanation for little kids, and the other is a more accurate understanding of the topic.
Understanding is personal belief. I'm talking
No,
about
it's not.
the physical.
Understanding is based off of measurements you make in reality. That's
how would you?
That's
okay,
how you know you're correct in science.
How would you know? How would you know if I understood the ball Earth model? How would you know if I understood relativity? What would you require from me?
Describe it to us.
Right.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Let me try and describe relativity. Tell me if you think that I have an accurate description. Einstein believed
Let
that.
me guess. No, I'm going to guess. No, you have no accurate description on it. But go ahead.
Okay. So Einstein believed that.
And by the way, the equations are the accurate description. Unless you know those, you don't even need to be talking.
Yeah, but his equations are based on what he saw in reality, right?
What did he see in reality?
It doesn't matter. If it's based on what he saw in reality, then his equations are based on direct observations, and they can't tell you anything.
Einstein did not develop his theory of relativity based on direct observations. He said,
so it's an idea.
This is the way that things work. These are the observations you will make.
Okay, hold on.
The made those observations after he died.
Here's what's so incredible.
I don't want to hear about his Venus prediction, blah blah blah. Because here's the thing: like you weren't there, so you're just gonna tell me a story.
Don't take in data to make the theory.
But you weren't there. That's a story. So you have no idea.
It doesn't matter if we were there or not.
Though.
Yeah, it means
you
it's
didn't have to be there.
I wasn't there when God created the earth. That doesn't mean I get to claim it as fact.
It doesn't matter if we were there or not. The fact is, it was recorded.
No, somebody said it. Written down. You believe it.
Yeah, it was written on a book that was several decades old, dude.
The Bible's recorded. Is it true?
What was recorded is important.
The thing is,
a record of something happening.
Come on.
The Bible is a record of something happening. If you're going to tell me you could read this book report from Einstein's brother and believe it, when you are after the fact,
we believe it because it made future predictions.
No, all it did is
what he recorded.
A prediction is in the future.
This is him being dishonest now. Not only
the predictions were made till several decades later.
The sky is the sky. The sky has always been the sky, and the sky will always be the sky. Now what they're doing is saying, I'm not deflecting. Einstein's going to say, you're going to. So let me interrupt.
You can't learn, and you can't learn,
bro. Come on.
The book was several decades old, and the measurements were made several decades after the book was made.
According to your beliefs that are based on the reading of a book, just like the Bible.
No, because the book made predictions that weren't actually measured till several decades later.
Bible's making
like
can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast, and here we go. You can't buy or sell. You can't go without the chip. These are predictions.
That is a lot more general than giving an actual verifiable numerical data point that is several decimals long. That is very vague compared to the very specific predictions that Einstein made.
But
that is very different.
When you say rain in the future, I'm a prophet. Look,
all he did, right, at the end of the day, when we really boil down to the facts, you have the sky will look like this, and I think yes. Okay. So show me what does he have?
No, Einstein's equations predict, like you brought this up yourself. Einstein's equations were written in a book, and the predictions, the numerical freaking data points that those equations made weren't verified till several decades later, such as when we measured the orbit of freaking Venus or Mercury. When we measured those and they matched what he made several decades earlier,
he didn't observe
that is how we know it's correct.
You're right. And this everything you believe right now. Hold on, let me tell you. Don't interrupt. Everything you just said hinges on the fact that if they didn't know about Venus, so you believe they had no idea about the orbit of Venus until Einstein made the prediction, and then they see
we had no way to model it.
Hold on.
We had no way to model it before his equations because of the bending of space-time.
Okay, but if they knew about the entire solar system before, then Einstein didn't make a prediction. So
they didn't know about all the planets. We discovered planets after Einstein using Einstein's equations.
This is your belief.
Do you deny this?
Yes, this is your belief. This is your belief. This is where you.